I've heard that story too many times, Jazlyn. 3 months behind. I have bills too. I can't stay here for free.
Please. My mom is sick. My siblings are still in school. 1 more month. I'll work doubles if I have to.
My decisions are final. Eviction notice.
48 hours to be out. 48 hours? Where am I supposed to take my whole in 2 days?
Not my problem.
Sir, you need to eat something so that you can be stronger again.
No, I'm not hungry.
But I want you strong. Your wife and children, too. Please eat so you can survive for us. No, stop it, sir. This is not advisable for you now.
You are the nicest nurse I've met so far. Please be my daughter for just one day.
The phone rang at 2 a.m. Jazlyn knew before she picked it up. Something was broken. Jazz. Her mom's voice was shaking. I didn't want to call. I know you have work in 5 hours. Mom, what happened? Your brother got into a fight. The school says he might be kicked out. And your little sister needs new glasses, and I don't have the money, and I don't know what to do anymore. Jazlyn closed her eyes. She was 22 years old, and she was already tired down to her bones. Don't worry, Mom. I'll fix it. I'll talk to the school tomorrow. I'll figure out the glasses. Just make sure everyone eats. I'll grab groceries on my way home. You work too hard, baby. I'm fine. I promise. She wasn't fine. But nobody asks the girl who fixes everything if she's okay. The next morning, before her shift at Ridgeview General Hospital, Jazlyn sat across from her little brother, Marcus. No, wait, Marcus is banned. She sat across from her little brother, Trayvon. I didn't start it, Trayvon said, staring at the floor. They kept making fun of my shoes. I got mad. It's okay, Jazlyn said, even though nothing about their life felt okay. But you have to promise me something. Walk away next time. No matter what they say. Your future matters more than proving anything to them. Trayvon nodded, small and ashamed. Jazlyn pulled him into a hug and thought, I am 19 going on 40. When does someone take care of me? She didn't know that in 2 days, everything she'd built would collapse, and that a stranger with weeks to live was about to change her life forever. By the time Jazlyn got to work, she'd already put out 2 fires. There was always a third one waiting. Jazz, her best friend, Nia, caught her in the hallway, eyes wide. Your landlord called the hospital looking for you. She sounded furious. Jazlyn's stomach dropped. Did she say what she wanted? No, just that if you don't see her today, she's going to take action. Jazlyn already knew what that meant. She'd been dodging it for weeks. I'll go on my break, she said, forcing calm into her voice. Inside, something cold was spreading through her chest. Her landlord, Ms. Denny, was waiting on the porch, arms crossed, when Jazlyn arrived. So you finally show up. Ms. Denny, I'm sorry about the rent. I've been picking up extra shifts. I just need a little more time. I've heard that before, Jazlyn. 3 months behind. I have bills too. I can't keep letting your family stay here for free. Please. My mom is sick. My siblings are still in school. 1 more month. I'll work doubles if I have to. Ms. Denny's face didn't move. My decision's final. She held out an envelope. Eviction notice. 48 hours to be out. The world tilted. 48 hours? Where am I supposed to take my whole family in 2 days? Not my problem. Jazlyn stood on that porch long after the door slammed, the envelope shaking in her hand. 48 hours to save everyone she loved. And she had exactly $0 saved. She thought about calling her mom. She didn't. Her mom already carried enough. Jazlyn had spent her whole life being the one who didn't add to the pile, the one who quietly picked up whatever fell. If she said the word eviction out loud to her mother, something in her mother might finally break for good. So she swallowed it, the way she swallowed everything, and started walking back toward the hospital because a 12-hour shift didn't care that her whole world had just caved in. This was the moment everything was supposed to fall apart. She had no idea it was about to be rebuilt by someone else entirely, and that the person who rebuilt it would ask for something back, in the strangest, gentlest way, months later. Nia found her crying in the hospital supply closet. Jazz, I heard. I'm so sorry. I have 2 days, Nia. No money. No plan. I feel like I'm failing all of them. You're not failing anyone. Nia grabbed both her hands. You are the strongest person I know, and you are not doing this alone. My parents have a spare room. It's small, but it's yours. They already said yes. I called them an hour ago. Jazlyn's breath caught. I can't ask them to take in my whole family. You're not asking. I'm offering. They remember everything you did for me during nursing school. The shifts you covered when my grandma was in the hospital. Let us help you, Jazz. Please. Jazlyn broke down right there between the shelves of gauze and gloves. For the first time in months, someone was catching her. 2 days later, boxes were packed, and Nia's family stood in the doorway of their small house with their arms open. Your family now, Nia's dad said. Don't worry about a thing. That night, Jazlyn whispered a prayer of thanks over a dinner table that wasn't even hers, grateful and terrified all at once. Because kindness like this always came with a debt she didn't know how to repay. She didn't know yet that the debt would come due in the cruelest way possible, from the one person she trusted the most. Weeks passed. The new routine held, barely. Jazlyn worked the night shift, exhausted, sustained by coffee and stubbornness. Do you ever wonder, she asked Nia one night on their break, if things will ever actually change? If I'll ever have a stable home for my family? Or if I'm just going to be stuck in this forever? I think about it too, Nia said. But look how far you've come, Jazz. You've held your family together through the worst of it. That has to count for something. I really believe good things are coming for you. I hope you're right. She had no idea how soon, or how strangely, that hope would be tested. A voice cut through the hallway like a blade. Well, look who decided to show up. St. Jazlyn, here to rescue her little friend again. Tiffany Marsh was the kind of co-worker every hospital has one of, sharp-tongued, always watching, always waiting for someone to slip. Leave Nia alone, Jazlyn said. What did you say to her? I didn't do anything. I simply told her she spends too much time gossiping when she should be working. Some of us take our jobs seriously. That's a lie, Nia snapped, stepping forward. She was bragging about getting promoted to head nurse, and when I told her nothing's been announced, she called me lazy and said I only have this job because my parents know people on the board. You have no right to talk to her like that, Jazlyn said. Tiffany's smile turned razor thin. Don't lecture me, Jazlyn. You think you're so perfect, with your sad little sob story everyone feels sorry for. That's the only reason you've gotten this far. Sympathy doesn't make you a good nurse. One day, everyone's going to see exactly what you really are. Jazlyn's hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. Say whatever you want about me. Don't you ever touch my friend again. Tiffany didn't move for a second. Her eyes went cold and flat, the way they did right before she filed a complaint against someone, or accidentally mentioned the wrong thing to the wrong supervisor. Everyone on the floor knew that look. Nia grabbed Jazlyn's sleeve and pulled her away before it could get worse. You didn't have to do that, Nia said once they were around the corner. Not for me. Yes, I did. Jazlyn's hands were still shaking. Someone has to stop people like her from deciding what everyone else is worth. She didn't know it yet, but Tiffany had just made her a promise, and Tiffany always kept her promises. It would take months to collect on it, but she would. That afternoon, a nurse burst into the break room. Jazlyn, it's Mr. Calloway. He's refusing his medication again. Threw his whole breakfast tray across the room. Nobody can get near him. You're the only one gentle enough to try. Jazlyn walked into room 412 and found an old man glaring at her like she was an intruder in his own execution. Who the hell are you? Another nurse here to poke and prod me? Get out. I'm Jazlyn. I'm not here to poke or prod. Just wanted to see if you needed anything. I need to be left alone. That's what I need. I don't want your pity. And I don't want your medicine. It's useless anyway. I understand you're frustrated. But refusing your medication won't help. It'll only make things worse. You understand nothing. His voice cracked. I'm dying, young lady. My body is rotting from the inside, and there's nothing anyone can do. So forgive me if I don't feel like swallowing pills that only stretch out my suffering. Jazlyn didn't flinch. You're right. I don't understand what you're going through. I can't imagine how frightening that is. But giving up only hurts you. And you don't strike me as a man who got where he is by giving up. Something shifted behind his eyes. You're not like the others. They come in here with fake smiles, treating me like a child. You actually talk to me like a person. You are a person, Mr. Calloway. One who deserves respect, even when you're angry. Especially then. A long pause. Then, leave the pills. I'll take them later. It was the smallest victory. It would turn into the biggest relationship of both their lives. Days turned into a strange, quiet ritual. Jazlyn brought him tea he didn't ask for. He complained about it and drank it anyway. She brought him a small jade plant. "Why are you doing this?" he asked one evening. "Being kind to me. Everyone else here either fears me or tolerates me. You actually seem to care. Why?" "Because everyone deserves compassion, Mr. Calloway. Especially when they're fighting a battle most people can't imagine. That takes courage. The least I can do is make sure you don't fight it alone." "You're a strange young woman," he said. In a good way. For the first time in a long time, Jazlyn felt like she was doing something that mattered beyond survival. His doctor pulled her aside a week later. "Whatever you're doing with Mr. Calloway, keep doing it. His blood pressure's improved. He's eating regularly for the first time since admission. You're making a real difference." That afternoon, Mr. Calloway asked her a question that cracked something open in both of them. "Have you ever lost someone you loved?" "Yes. My father. I was 16. Losing a parent is a wound that never fully heals. But at least you knew him." He looked away. "I had a daughter once. Ruth. She was the brightest child you could imagine. Died when she was 8. Leukemia. I'm so sorry. It was a long time ago. My wife couldn't look at me after. Said she saw Ruth's face every time. She left within a year. I threw myself into work. Built an empire. More money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. And now, dying in this bed, I realize none of it matters. Money can't bring her back. Can't keep me company. Can't stop the cancer. Mr. Calloway, I can't imagine that pain. But your life has meaning, even now. The love you had for Ruth never left you. That's not weakness. That's strength most people never have to find. You're the first person who's ever said that to me." His eyes were wet. "Everyone else sees the money, the business, the difficult old man. You see me. How? Because I know what it's like to feel invisible. To smile on the outside while breaking on the inside. I recognize it. I've seen it in my own mirror." Neither of them spoke for a long moment. It was the kind of silence that says more than any conversation could. "Tell me about your father," he said one afternoon. "You've never told me." "He was a carpenter. Small shop at the edge of town. Not wealthy, not famous, the kindest man I ever knew. He used to let me play with wood scraps while he worked and tell me stories like every piece of lumber had its own history. I thought he was the strongest man alive." "What happened?" "Car accident. I was 16. He was driving home in the rain and a truck lost control. The doctor said he died instantly, like that was supposed to comfort me. I never got to say goodbye. Never told him how much I loved him. He kissed my forehead before school that morning. That night, he was gone. The unfinished goodbyes are the hardest," Mr. Calloway said quietly. "We carry them. Words we never said. They get heavier, not lighter." He stared at the ceiling. "I never said goodbye to Ruth either. I was on a business trip in Tokyo. The doctors said the treatment was working, so I told myself closing one more deal would secure her future, that she'd thank me for being a good provider. She died while I was signing contracts 8,000 miles away. You were trying to do what you thought was right for her. I should have been there. She needed her father holding her hand, not his money. I failed her, just like I failed my wife. Just like I failed everyone who ever mattered. Listen to me." Jazlyn took his hand. "You were a good father. I hear it every time you talk about her. The fact that you still grieve, after all these years, that proves how much you loved her. Love like that doesn't disappear. It just changes shape." He studied her face like he was searching for something. "You remind me of her. Not in looks. In spirit. She used to say the most important thing in life was to love people, not things. I wish I'd listened to her sooner." Then came the request that changed everything. "Jazlyn, I want to ask you something, and I need you to feel completely free to say no." He took a breath. "I've been thinking about all the things Ruth and I never got to do. All the days I traded for money. And I've been thinking about you, and how you've shown me more kindness these past weeks than I've known in decades. I know this might sound strange, but would you spend one day with me? Not as my nurse. As my daughter. Just for one day." Jazlyn felt tears rise before she could stop them. "Mr. Calloway, I would be honored." "You mean it?" "I mean it. But we'll need to arrange it properly. I'll need the day off. You'll need permission to leave the hospital." "Leave that to me," he said, something like light returning to his face. "I still have a little influence left in this world. How about Saturday? I'm off." "Saturday," he said. "And Jazlyn, thank you. You've given this old man something I thought I'd lost forever. Hope." She didn't know it yet, but that single yes was about to become the most irreversible decision of her life. And the reason Tiffany Marsh would finally get what she'd been threatening all along. Saturday morning, Mr. Calloway wore a suit for the first time in months. It hung looser on him than it used to. The illness had taken more than his energy, but he stood a little straighter than Jazlyn had ever seen him stand. A hospital volunteer wheeled him to the front doors, and when the doors slid open and the sunlight hit his face, he actually laughed. I haven't been outside in months. I forgot how beautiful the world is. It's a beautiful day, Jazlyn said, smiling despite the ache in her chest. She'd already decided she wasn't going to think about tomorrow. Just today, just this. They went to a small park near the hospital. Ruth used to call this her secret garden, he said, watching a squirrel dart across the grass. We came here every Sunday. She'd chase squirrels and pick dandelions, insisted they were flowers. Who was I to argue? She made me a crown of them once. I wore it around the whole park and didn't care that I looked like a fool. You were a good father, Mr. Calloway. You still are. Would you call me Dad? Just for today. I'd like to hear it one more time before I go. Jazlyn's throat tightened. I'd like that, Dad. His face broke open with something between grief and joy. Thank you. Thank you so much. They got ice cream, chocolate, hot fudge, extra cherries. Ruth always got the same thing, he said. Ate the cherries first, then the ice cream, saved the fudge for last. She always knew what mattered most. At a bookstore, he bought her a worn copy of a poetry collection. Ruth's favorite. She made me read it so many times I had it memorized. One more time, Daddy, she'd say. And I always did. This is lovely, Jazlyn whispered, flipping through the pages. Would you read me one? She read slowly, her voice soft in the afternoon light. A poem about a game where nobody loses, where everyone hugs instead of pulling apart. When she finished, neither of them spoke. The silence between them was full, the kind that holds an entire life in it. At the end of the day, he bought her a warm coat. Please, let me have this. Let me buy my daughter something. It's something I've dreamed of doing for 40 years. Thank you, Dad, she said, tears finally falling. Thank you for the most wonderful day of my life. That night, back at the hospital, she tucked the blanket around him. Jazlyn. He caught himself and laughed weakly. My dear, sweet girl. Today you gave me something I thought I'd lost forever. You gave me back my daughter, if only for a day. I can never repay that. But you changed my life. You showed me that even at the very end, there can still be light. There can still be love. I'll be here when you wake up, Jazlyn said, squeezing his hand. I'll always be here. Good night, Dad. Sleep well. She had no idea those would be the last words she'd ever say to him, or that a very different kind of ending was already in motion 2 floors down, in a break room where Tiffany Marsh was reading her personnel file. The next morning, Jazlyn walked into room 412 with coffee and a smile. Good morning, Dad. I hope you slept well after our. The monitor was flat. Confirm rhythm, someone said behind her. Confirmed. No pulse. The room tilted sideways. You waited for me to leave, she whispered. You didn't want me to see you go. I'm so sorry, Jazlyn, the night nurse said gently. He went peacefully. No pain, no distress. He just drifted off and didn't wake up. Jazlyn stood there, holding a coffee cup that was suddenly the heaviest thing she'd ever carried. Goodbye, Dad, she whispered. Thank you for everything. I'll miss you forever. She went home that night, to Nia's spare room, the one with the borrowed dresser and the window that stuck halfway open, and she didn't cry until she was sure everyone else was asleep. She cried the way she never let herself cry in front of her mother, or her siblings, or anyone who needed her to be strong. Quiet. Careful. Like even her grief had to be managed so it wouldn't wake anyone up. The obituary ran 2 days later. Thomas Calloway, self-made businessman, philanthropist, dead at 71. It listed his companies, his donations, his achievements. It didn't mention the dandelion crown, or the cherries eaten first, or the poem about a game where nobody loses. Jazlyn read it in the break room, alone, and that's when Tiffany appeared in the doorway, arms crossed, smiling like she'd been saving something for exactly this moment. I heard the old man left you something in his will, Tiffany said. Guess sympathy really does pay, huh? Jazlyn didn't answer. She didn't know yet if it was true. And in that moment, she realized it didn't matter. Whatever Thomas Calloway left behind, the real gift was already spent. One Saturday, one park, one word, Dad. She folded the newspaper closed. He was the grumpiest patient anyone on that floor had ever had. He threw trays. He shouted. He made more than one nurse cry. But underneath all of it was a man who had lost everything he ever loved and never learned how to keep living after, until, for one single day, someone let him be a father again. That was the last good day either of them ever had. And Jazlyn would spend the rest of her life trying to be worth it.